Hello, everybody. My name is Christian. I'm the host of the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur Show. And I know you guys gonna love today's guest. You guys gotta forgive him because he's in Long Island. If you ever been to Long Island, there's just one way in, one way out. Otherwise, he's an amazing human being. And you guys gotta meet him right after this. Hello again, my name is Christian. I'm the host of the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur Show, and I'm really excited for today's guest. We've been having some conversations, we've been going back and forth, and every time I talk to him, I learn a thing or two. And so today you guys gonna meet that special someone. But before you guys meet him, there's a few things I need to share. You guys know that we had the whole idea for us to go out there and do ethical stocking. With our audience we brought in here. And there was a few things we absolutely loved about him. He also started his journey bussing tables. He was 14 years old. And that reminded me a lot of me. And actually, that shaped him who he is today. He shares a very unique perspective on food service, not just from the lessons he learned from long ways ago, is also as a business owner today. And as we started going and ethical stocking, we need a better word. As we started following him, we tried to look for an incident or two where we could say, oh, he's contradicting himself. We never found it. And then one of my team ethical stocked him for 9 weeks. And it was amazing what he came back with and what he said. And I shared this with our guest earlier. But today, I'm happy to introduce you guys to Matt. So with that, Matt, welcome to the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur Show.
Thank you for having me, Christian. Looking forward to it.
So you and I had a few conversations. We were on a few podcasts together. I love what you do, but for our audience, which is not going to see you if they're not on YouTube, let us know, how did this whole thing start?
Well, it started that I wanted money. So mom and dad said, at a young age, if you want something, you got to go get it. So where I was living, we were down the block from a small town in Floral Park. And so I walked up the block and went into a diner called Dano's. Mm-hmm. Asked if they had some employment for me, and before you know it, bussing tables, going in on weekends at 5 o'clock in the morning. It was a very unique place, small spots, 7 tables, 8 counter spots. Probably by 15 or 16, sometimes I'd be, taking the order from the table and even helping out in the back to flip some pancakes. And then the journey just kept continuing on from there. And there's a lot to obviously divulge into, but it was just a passion for taking care of people and making people happy and comfortable and trying to ensure that they got what they were looking for.
Yeah, I love that. So can you share with our audience a little bit, what do you actually do today?
So today I am owner, operator, pitmaster, chef, husband, dad, whole bunch of different hats. And so 10 years ago, I started Matty Smokes. That is a private events and catering business that I drive around with a 24-foot trailer, grill, smoker, sink. It's got everything you can imagine, open kind of barbecue pitmaster style. Mm-hmm. And we go to your home and take care of everything so that you don't have to. Everybody's having these house parties, these picnics and fundraisers, and so I show up with the staff, the plates, forks, knives, napkins, all the cooking equipment so that you can enjoy your own party. And so that's typically a May, June, July, August business, getting right into it in a few weeks. Yeah. And then on a day-to-day basis, I am a chef and owner over at J.J. Cooper's in Long Beach. We're 4 blocks from the boardwalk. And, every day is different for me. Some days I'm running social media, back of the house operations. Other days, like today I'm going in, I'm prepping. We've got, 7 parties this weekend.
Wow.
And so I'm going to spend a lot of time prepping with my team and making sure we're ready for everything between Mother's Day on Sunday and all the events that we've got going on. So, just on the ground running with the team, doing day-to-day operations.
Love it. I love it. So, we are interested in a little bit more in you. And when people start following you and kind of dive into your little teachings, there's one thing you talk about all the time is that many, people believe that kitchen is just purely a creative space. But you always talk about it. That was not your experience as you started. So can you share with us a little bit what you realized through this and how that has changed your approach on how you run your kitchen today?
Yeah, so for me, I was always a front of the house operator. I was a bartender. I was a manager. I did operations at a pool hall. I went to school for hospitality. I went for business. Now, cooking was always a passion of mine. I loved cooking. And when I went into the partnership at J.J. Cooper's about 8 years ago, I ran the front of the house. I did the servers, I bartenders, etc. And as the business developed and the partnership changed, an opportunity arose to run the kitchen, which was something that I had never personally done. I had a little work in commercial kitchens, mostly as expo work, never really as a cook. And so COVID happened, and chefs are in and out, and the partnership was changing. And so I decided to take on this opportunity to learn something new and a new challenge. So at first going in, it was all like, oh, what can I create? What can we make? And what are people going to like? But then it was a complete evolution of what's going to make me money? What can we produce consistently? What can we produce fast? What can the rest of the guys put out fast? If John is working on Monday and Paul is working on Tuesday, are John and Paul putting that dish out the same way to the customer to ensure that consistency? So it really became systems. It became learning how to ensure that we were profitable. We had no spoilage. We had a quality of product. It really changed my entire outlook as to, I'm not just back there every day having fun and putting a new picture on Instagram. I loved doing that for a long time, and it was awesome. But nowadays, if you're doing a photo shoot, it's a completely planned and structured event. It's scheduled. Everything is done accordingly. You just don't put together a pretty dish, throw it in the window, and somebody takes a picture and it looks great for everybody to look at.
I love that. It's so true. And you talk a lot about, you had all of those different roles or positions, whatever you want to call it, in your hospitality experience. So how did some of those experiences, shape the career and what you do today? And you also talk about it. Hey, there was a special time during college as you did all of that. So can you talk to our audience a little bit about that?
Well, so initially when I went to college, I thought I was going to be a graphic designer, and that was my passion at first. So it was art, which does overlap with the whole culinary and the plating, and even in regards to marketing and promotion and how things look to the general public. So I quickly learned after my first year of college that didn't go so well, that I had to come back home. So I came back to mom and dad's house and said, I'm just going to go right back to the restaurant life. And mom and dad are like, if you're living at home with us, you're going to go to school. What do you mean, Ma? The restaurant, I make tons of cash, bartending, serving, everything's great. Well, if you're going to live at home, you're going to go to school and you're going to pay for it. I'm like, oh, so now it's all on me. And I don't have a choice. So I went back to the restaurant, and I started discussing with a neighbor of mine who, Mike McGuire, that I give a lot of credit to because he owned Trinity's, he owned Winchester's, He had a lot of friends in the stout group. And so he said, look, Matt, I know you want to go to culinary school, and I think, you want to be a chef, but go to school for business. If you want to own a business, if you want to own an operation, no one's ever going to teach you how to do accounting, how to do marketing, how to do, analyze economics and statements. So I went to school for business, and then I went to school for hospitality, where I learned a lot about how to treat people, how to serve people, how to be a servant to the general public, and be aware of, great awareness of the industry. And I met a lot of mentors through this. And he was right. In the long run, I did learn how to cook. I'm not saying that I'm the best chef in the world, but I know how to analyze cost percentages and product and be profitable. And that's what we do it for. So in the early stages, it really did push me to a different direction than what I believed was going to help me in this industry.
Yeah, I love that. And I so connect with you when you talk about this, because I honestly believe the culinary schools are amazing. There's a few really, really amazing ones out there. But what they don't do enough is teach you what's going on in a business and what goes with it. Yeah. And I honestly believe that's why so many restaurants fail. It doesn't fail because there's so many great guys out there making amazing food. They never learned how to run everything else with it. And for me, that seemed to be a good thing for you, because you went to school for business, which is totally different than hospitality. And hospitality kind of found you. So for me, I absolutely love that. And then you also talk about your whole that you evolved in the way you were not just believing or what you were thinking. And you always said, hey, that you thought it was really, really hard work that leads to be successful. But over time, you realize that other factors are also really, really important. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? What do you think those factors are, and how they helped you, do what you do today?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot about being on the ground and doing the work myself. I've spent a lot of time in everybody's shoes, and I think it's what allowed me to lead teams effectively, because I've got that understanding of being in each position. And I until about 5 years ago, I never had that kitchen experience. Mm-hmm. I had been in the other side saying, oh, come on, guys, specials for Friday night. Just pull this ingredient together. I saw this on Instagram. I saw that there. But let's do this, and you throw ideas around at everybody thinking it's going to be a blast. And, even when I started developing Matty Smokes, I look at my industry as, yes, I'm a servant to the general public in a great way. And you want tacos? I'll make tacos. I'll come up with this. I'll come up with that. And then I realized that, one, it left so many variables for failure, for mm-hmm. mistakes to happen, for me not to produce the way that I expect to. It left variables in my food cost percentage, because I haven't analyzed it. I haven't really broken down these dishes to have a full 100% understanding of what this is going to cost me and what I'm going to actually make off of it.
Yeah.
So as I've spent time analyzing each position in the restaurant industry and alongside catering, it's gave me that on the ground experience to now have a perspective of what I'm asking people to do.
Yeah. I mean, I love that. And I think that's what made you so successful. And we have written create on here is because we create by conversation. We create by learning. And I always use the example of my desk. I'm sitting on this triangle desk. At one point, somebody said, oh, we need to build this triangle desk. And then somebody said, oh, that's an awesome idea. You know what we should do? We should build it in with the Apple Watch. Because when the Apple Watch said it's time to stand up, the whole desk stands up. And somebody said, yes, we built this. There was also somebody in the corner said, yeah, out of your damn mind. Okay, nobody's going to buy it. I'm sitting on one of those desks today. So I honestly believe that's how we create and that's how we communicate. And for me, it's important that people have a conversation because we do create around conversations. And you talk about this all the time, especially around your leadership style. You know, that you know, when people dive into your teachings, you always talk about that running a kitchen is chaos. Okay. There's 300 dinners a night. And you know what? It's basically, you know, it's chaos. Everybody's running around. There's all this stuff going on. But where did you, or where did your leadership from that evolve? And how do you keep your teams aligned and not just aligned, but focused on getting out a great meal?
I think a lot of it comes down to being on the ground with them in the chaos, setting by example. I mean, nothing's worse than when we're in a busy service and there's 25 tickets on the board, and maybe you have a server who made a mistake on a burger that put cheese on that it shouldn't have, or a salad that had bacon bits in it, but the customer didn't read the menu and know that there's bacon bits in it. And you know, now we're going back again and remaking things. I've always just tried to stay calm and cool-headed about it. I'm not an owner that yells amongst the chaos and says, you know, get it done. Let's go, guys. And I've been in a lot of those kitchens. So leading by example, and it's really been spending a lot of time hiring, hiring properly, and being okay with letting people go because they don't fit amongst the team and they don't fit the mentality of what we've got going on. After COVID, the kitchen that I had inherited, you know, when I took it over, was very set in their ways and was used to a different mentality. Yeah. And honestly, it took 2 good years for me to evolve and develop. And I had to move on from that past team that I had. And I wouldn't even call it a team because they all stood their lanes and worked what they did to get where I am today now. And the kitchen that I've got, they are a phenomenal crew, and I give them a lot of credit. Yeah. And we've learned how to work our parts. And if one guy's standing around and everybody else is working, that guy's doing something wrong. He should be asking somebody alongside him, do you need a hand? Everybody's job is to help out one another and continue moving. Yeah. So it's leading by example. I'm the first one that if I'm in work early and I'm going through the walk-in and I see that the grill guy doesn't have a bunch of his stuff prepped, he'll come in and sometimes find some bins full of his prep already done. And he's like, well, you didn't have to do that. I go, I know I didn't have to, but it needed to get done. And I saw what was on your plate today. We had a busy service yesterday. It was a Saturday. We did 360 covers. I know what you went through yesterday. I want you to be able to come in on a Sunday morning and do that. So it's a lot of leading by example. And that guy now turns around to me later that day when, you know, the catering's getting to be a little chaotic. And he's got no problem chipping in a hand back for me. So that leading by example is huge for me.
I absolutely love that. And you know what? Sometimes it's easier said than done. And because I know, and I'm sure you're busy too. So, but for me, that's probably one of the biggest thing what we admire about you as a group. And so, but now if there is a younger you, whatever you want to call it, you know, an inspiring chef in the food service industry, what advice would you give him around balancing from the craziness in the kitchen, how to not just evolve your passions, but kind of structure your passion, because you talk about that a lot, and also what are some practical realities? Because there's one thing I absolutely love about you, because I've been in the industry for so long. I take things for granted. Okay, oh, it's just that's the way it is. And you said, this is messed up. Okay, this needs to change. You're looking at things totally different. So, what advice would you have to a younger you coming into this around, hey, you need to structure this. Hey, you need to kind of kick this and turn it upside down. I'm curious, what is some advice you would have for yourself?
For me, for even some of the younger guys that are around me and younger girls, they have interest in the industry. It's fun, it's fast. People are out partying. There's, it's an environment that's fun to be around. We work the hardest when everybody else is off the clock. It's this weekend for Mother's Day. Everybody wants to celebrate Mother's Day. I had to celebrate Mother's Day last Sunday with my family. It's going to be tough when everybody is out doing things. We're going to be working the hardest, but hospitality is just what I do. I love it. I show up every day. I don't know what every day is going to bring me, but when I walk in that door, I'm just prepared to handle the job and eat, regardless of what chaos got thrown at me. My responsibility is to get the job done for the customer on the other side, and then analyze it the next day and say, how could I have done that better? How could I have prevented the chaos? So for the youth that want to be in the industry, one, save your money and don't be shy about investing in yourself. Believe in yourself. Everybody who always told me they were going to invest in me, unfortunately, never did, except for my own immediate family, who helped lend me some money because they knew I was doing the right path and I was on the right, course. So I had so many people who said, I'll buy a restaurant with you. I'm going to invest in you. You know what you're doing. You got this. And then as soon as you're ready to do something, it just would fall apart. So for me, it was saving my money, believing in myself, building foundations and growing on the foundations that I already have, and just take every experience and analyze it and grow off of it.
I love that. And to our audience, I want you to go back 3 minutes and listen again what he just said, because for me, that's so universal. It doesn't make a difference if you're in hospitality, if you're selling windows, if you sell cars, it does not matter. And I honestly believe the reason you're so successful is because of that little mindset. Because you constantly talk about this, hey, yesterday wasn't great. How can we make it better? There's very few people which do this. They talk about it, but they're not actually practicing it. And then also, what you said earlier about helping your team, because at the end of the day, if somebody complains, they don't say, oh, the salad guy didn't pull their weight, that's why the whole service was terrible. They say the kitchen, and that's everybody, And it's, so for me, that's a few of the real truths, because people just don't know what's going on behind those walls. And so, but for me, you also said something about Mother's Day, that you celebrated it last week. And for me, as you said that, it kind of hit home to me, because that's exactly what I used to do. And I'm fortunate that I don't have to do this today. But for me, that's probably the hardest thing, because nobody talks to you about that. You also said, hey, you are busy when everybody else is not. And that's not an easy deal for a lot of people coming into the industry. So I'm curious to know, what is Matt focusing on Matt to the rest of the year to kind of keep that outlook and keep going? And what are you focusing on your business side for the next 6 months? What needs to grow? How am I going to bring my team moving forward? Can you share a little bit of behind the scenes for our listeners? What is on the docket for you for the next few months?
So for the next few months, it's tough, because the next 3 months, I'm in Long Beach. I'm 4 blocks from the boardwalk. I have a barbecue business with outdoors and catering, and I've always had the mentality that outworking everybody else was the answer to motivate, and so I'm trying to transition my thought process to that leadership, to that team building, putting trust in my teams, and understanding that everything's not always going to go the way I want it to or the way it should, but I have to start allowing them to find their ways and grow with me and grow as a team to become a larger unit than we are. And so on my behalf, I've been spending a lot of time, and this is where I met you with the podcasts and the networking. Yesterday, I was at the Small Business Expo at the Javits Center. I'm going to the National Restaurant Show in a few weeks. So it's really learning what's going on in the world. How can we move quicker, faster, and more efficiently as a unit? And so the future, it's an open book at the moment, but I know I want to allow the people that I'm working with that are doing such a great job to grow as well. So I'm trying to align some of their goals with my goals as well, so that we can all become better together. And it's a tough task. It's not easy.
It's not supposed to be easy. So all I know the listeners heard was you're 4 blocks from the ocean. Okay. How tough can it be? You 4 blocks from the water. And
but if I go sit on the beach 10 times this summer, that's going to be a lot. I truthfully, even balancing family life and whatnot, I got a wife and 2 kids that, yeah, we can ride bikes, we can walk. I walk out my front door and I see a sailboat yard. So there's a lot that I want to be doing with my time. And so time blocking has been a tremendous amount, because my work, if I look for it, there's more to do than their time in the day. So I've gained a peace of mind even out of sometimes we really just have to say, this time is for my family. My phone gets turned off and I have to block life out for a little bit and go to the beach or go on a boat for the day. Because that time's going to pass me. And I didn't so much do it 3 to 4 years ago. And I'm trying to make sure that there's a balance of that as well.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And it's really important for us. The audience which knows my history, I have a 27-year-old, my youngest is 14. And it's, as I'm getting older, I'm looking back and says, how the heck is he 20, 27, 28? Yeah. My youngest daughter started driving. She's all over the place. I was like, when did that happen? I mean, really? Yeah. We have one guy left. And when, I cannot try to put some attention on him. And he was like, Dad, I know what it is because I'm the only one left. No, it's not, and he knows. And it's time flies. And for me, there's 3 things which are really important. And that's what I love about you. You love the business because for me, I love this hospitality business. Yeah. The second thing is what you love equally as much, if not more, is the family. And for me, at the end of the day, when you peel it all back, that's all there's left. And then for me, I think, honestly, if I need to point down to one thing why you're successful as you are, is because you're learner's mindset. And I honestly believe it doesn't matter if you build windows, if you build airplanes or build barbecue, you will be successful because of that. And that's what we absolutely love about you. So with that, Matt, if people want to know more about you and the amazing barbecue you produce, how can people learn more about you?
So we can go to my website, www.mattysmokesbbq.com, www.jjcoopers.com. We've got my LinkedIn account, Matthew Vascellaro. You can find me on Instagram, Matty Cooks or Matty Smokes a Lot. And then I'm all over Facebook as well. Matty Smokes BBQ and Catering, and Matthew Vascellaro as well. Love hearing from everybody. Love working together. Always interested in a quick 15-minute Zoom or a cup of coffee with anybody on any level of this industry. Anyone out there that is running a kitchen, I would love to just even be a part of it for a week or so and hang out with you and see your operations and, network and see what jives for everybody in different perspectives. Every day, we learn from one another, and that will help us rise together, as Sean would say.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I have a page of notes here. Okay. So I hope our audience took note. If not, when you get this episode, just scroll on the bottom. There is a full section of the 5 things I learned about the conversation with Matt. You will also have more about Matt, and all his contact information is in the information below. But before we go, Matt, are you up for playing what we call Rapid Fire Question Food Service Edition?
Well, I don't think I have a choice, but absolutely.
So, truth be told, I told him, my team back there, Matt is coming on. We need to make it really, really hard. So if anybody's new to our episodes, what we do is we have now 78 questions, and we kind of filter them out based on the personality we have on for our conversation. The system spits us out 25 questions. So with that, the way it works, Matt, is it's really simple. I read out the question after you give me the number you would like me to choose, and we asking you to answer yes or no. And then we want to know why you ask or answered yes or no. So you up for it?
Yes.
Okay. Give me a number between 1 and 25.
13.
Oh, that's such a you question. Okay, 13. Should mac and cheese be eaten straight out of the pot? No questions asked. Yes or no, and why?
My head chef will laugh at me because him and I we actually differ on this one. Yes, it should be straight out of the pot. I think that ooey gooey cheese, the Velveeta base, really just tossed in a hot pan and poured with a little bit of panko over the top. Him, on the other hand, he says, come out of the pan, put it in the casserole dish, extra cheese on top, and bake it off. So right now he is doing that, and I roll with it. I trust him on that, but I think right out of the pan, you get that ooey gooey.
I'm with you, because chefs are so extra. You don't need another dish. Okay, give me a number between 1 and 25.
Let's go with 17.
17. Ooh. Is it okay to eat dessert before dinner and call it reverse dining? Yes or no, and why?
Absolutely not. I'm not a big dessert guy. I'm all about the appetizers and the entree. That's why we go out. If I eat dessert, it's going to ruin my appetite. I'm out for the meal.
So there's 50% of the audience says yes, 50% say no. So 50% hate you for this answer.
And that's okay. That's okay.
Okay, give me a number between 1 and 25.
5.
5. Should cheese be offered as dessert more often? Yes or no, and why?
Should cheese be offered as dessert? I think no. I think cheese could be inclusive in a dessert, a component of it. I don't know. I'm thinking like a cheesecake, but I've never really. Again, I'm not a dessert guy, so it's a tough question to answer. I very, very rarely order dessert. My wife and I, when we're out to dinner, she'll grab a dessert menu, and she loves her dessert, so we're always splitting something.
Yeah.
But No, I think cheese belongs as a more an appetizer.
So, Matt, you sound like an old guy. Cheese dessert is delicious. Okay, give me a number between 1 and 25.
25.
25. Oh, oldie but goodie. Pineapple on the pizza. Yes or no, and why?
It's no, it's not for me, but to each their own. Uh,
Oh, it's the.
it's not for me. It's not. I look at it and I'm just not sure. Maybe I should try it more often. Maybe with some. I've had it once and it just not. Look, I'm here in New York. We make a lot of pizza, and
there's a whole movement to get the pineapple back on it. There's also this Austrian guy who made $600 million in his restaurants doing that. Okay, last question. Give me a number between 1 and 25.
20.
20. Should less. I don't know who comes up with it. If you could turn lasagna into a sandwich, should you? Yes or no, and why?
Yes. So some of my family will laugh at this, but I'm the guy that I turn everything into a sandwich.
I was waiting for that because you talk about this a lot. That would be really good on a sandwich.
Yeah, I do. When I'm sitting there eating dinner, I like my carbs. I like my bread. I had a meatball appetizer last night at dinner, and I'm the first one to be smashing the meatball on the bread that it was served with. If I have a good baked ziti and there's Italian bread out there, I'll cut my semolina in half and squash a whole bunch of baked ziti in the middle of it. So yes, lasagna could be a sandwich because I've done it. I've never put it on my menu or served it that way.
Oh my goodness.
But I've personally eaten my lasagna on bread as a sandwich.
It's a terrible idea, but I know where you're going with that. And that completes Rapid Fire Question Food Service Edition. Matt, I absolutely appreciate that. Thanks for being as honest as you are. But one last question. What was the best advice you have ever gotten? And what took you a few years to act on it?
So a piece of advice that I had gotten when I first started Matty Smokes, call it, 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
Was to think bigger. And I always kept thinking, what do you mean? I'm thinking big. I'm just bartending. I'm just getting out of school. I want to own like 14 restaurants and everything's going to be great. And when I first came out, I wasn't charging enough. I was doing parties for too little people for not enough money. And I thought it was what I had to do to get where I wanted to go. And I was always afraid to charge more money or go out there. And I'm not ready for a Hamptons party for 100 people on this elite country club.
Yeah.
Whereas the truth was, if I shot bigger when I was younger, I think I'd be further ahead. And I underestimated the power of what I had and my drive and my motivation. Yeah. So I was always told to think bigger, and I believed I was thinking bigger, but it wasn't big enough.
I love that. That's really good advice. And so our listeners, go back and listen to that because that's some really, really good advice. I struggled with that for the longest time. And what we have learned for this, if people don't really pay, they don't pay attention. And it's not that you give it away for free, but if you don't ask for enough, if you do an amazing job, people will kind of take it for granted. So if you know you're doing an amazing job, charge for it because people will pay for it. And I absolutely love that. So with that, Matt, I want to say thanks for being here today. Thanks for the gift of your time. I absolutely love what you stand for. I love what you do. And we need to find a way to connect and do a 2.0 of that. And I really, really appreciate the gift of your time. And to our audience, remember to disrupt your kitchen, fire up your career, stay hungry for change. I'm Christian here with Chef Matt, and we are out of here. Okay, we are signing off. That means be the change, be the challenge, and who be the one who sets the world on fire. And to the word of Matt, go out, everybody, and be disruptive. I see you at the next show.